Sports Counterpoints podcast. It is February 20th, 2023. I'm GB. You got Brian, and we have Coop. Man, what's up, guys? We're back at it.
What's going on? All
right. Back with it, man. It's we're kind of entering that sad part for me. Like, there's no football. Basketball's cool if the Lakers are good. We're not. I don't really care about baseball too much. I'm a guy on a sports show that only likes certain sports I see, but. Let's talk about it. So today let's talk about the Genesis Invitational, Tiger Woods playing, and then we had a on scene correspondent as well, and Brian, who's out there. We'll talk about Eric Bieniemy, and he gets a new job with the Washington Colonels. We'll talk about All-Star Weekend or our lack of All-Star Weekend, and then check in with the Lakers as we round it out. So, man, starting with Genesis Invitational, John Rahm wins it. He was balling. I thought
John
Max
who?
Homa, John Rahm.
Oh, okay.
I thought Max Homa might pull it out, but it didn't work out that way.
Max Homa is like almost unbeatable in California. So,
he was playing some golf.
Yeah.
And, I hear that course.
Obviously, there's a little bit of controversy with how that went down with John Rahm's drop, but anyways.
Give us the layout, B. He was actually there, so break it down for us. What'd you think?
Yeah, I went out on Friday. It was awesome. I mean, I haven't been there in a while. Getting to Riviera for an event like this is sort of like getting to the Rose Bowl. So a lot of times you don't bother to go, but I went to a buddy's house, we Ubered in, and it was cool. You have to walk down a hill from a school where they drop you off. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. But that course, for anyone who's ever been there, I got to play there a couple times. It's just beautiful. The minute you get there, you just have a feeling like you're kind of at a different place. And so it was cool. We got there super early so we could watch Tiger play we watched him he started on the 10th hole. We watched him 10 through basically like 14. Had access to a suite. So it was on the 14th hole. For those who paid any attention to it, the 14th hole is the par 3 that Tiger almost aced. Came with 10 inches was all he had left, which was pretty amazing to be right there for that. The crowd obviously went a little bit nutty. And he didn't play all that well on Friday. As a matter of fact, he got lucky to make the cut at +1, but played outstanding on Saturday, and then didn't play so hot on Sunday. But he looked good. He looked like he could play golf. He was making a lot of shots. He was out driving Rory and Justin pretty consistently. Rory made even a couple jokes. There was a little bit of controversy behind him handing Justin Thomas a certain item to tease him about being outdriven by Tiger. I'll leave that alone. But ultimately, this really came down to John Rahm and Max Homa, who from beginning to end were clear betting favorites, clear favorites to win it, and ultimately just a lot of fun to watch. They were battling. All the crowds were around Tiger, but all the intrigue or interest around who was going to win were for John Rahm and Max Homa. The controversy was that on the third hole, which is kind of at a long, medium-sized par 4, Rahm pulled it pretty far left into what is kind of like they were calling it like a parking lot, but it's really not. It's like a mechanical area where you put stuff in staging area. So he pulls it into there. And because it was a temporary, immovable object, he took a drop for free, clear of any of issues, and a free shot at the green. Wow. He hit one of the worst shots you could possibly hit. It'd be like us hitting out of bounds dead left and then taking a free drop and going on. We even feel a little guilty about doing it. Don't, but we feel like maybe we should have added a stroke or something like that. In Ron's case, he didn't have to. It was perfectly within the rules. He didn't break any rules or anything like that. But a lot of people were like, that's a really crazy way to be able to get away with it. Ultimately, he made par on that. That was probably a 2-stroke turn there. That was ultimately the difference from winning and losing in this tournament. So there's a little controversy around it. like I said, Rom didn't do anything wrong, and he was a great ambassador when he won and all that good stuff. But great tournament, epic place to watch a round of golf. Tiger looks like he can play. Afterward, he was interviewed and he said he's probably only going to play the majors, which is unfortunate because he's not going to be able to go into these majors cold and win. Ultimately, we'd like to see him win one. And if he would just be able to go and play 3-4 tournaments before major season starts, before Augusta, he's got all the tools. It's just a matter of getting used to playing competitive golf.
And walking. Yeah.
And walking. And Riviera is considered one of the toughest walks. And I mean, I'll tell you, just walking in and walking around and walking out is considered one of the toughest walks in golf. And then I believe the Masters is another one. So go with that. That's the update there.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it was cool to see. I was definitely checking in on it.
He was bombing it. There were a whole bunch of people. One last thing. There were a whole bunch of people when he played in that little event when he was just bombing those there. And the whole world the next day was like, oh, they're fixing his numbers. And, there's no way he's hitting it that far. He's not out driving. He's not going to be able to outdrive Rory. He's in that event, he was playing with Dustin Thomas and Jordan Spieth as well. They would be making a huge deal about it. Fast forward, Rory's the one making the jokes. I mean, he can really hit the damn ball.
Yeah. Do y'all know who this is? This ain't. I mean, it's just 40-year-old Jordan will still get you 30 now.
Bad back, busted leg, bad ankle, and still putting it out there. Congrats to him.
Yeah. He was making some shots for sure, missing a lot of putts.
Most important thing is that when he gets back with his Scotty Cameron putter, that's when he's going to be when he's going to be at his best, right? Just like someone else on this podcast.
Those Scotties, man, they something else. I'm gonna tell you that. I'll tell you that much. Word on that.
Streak over there.
Yeah, word. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it was fun to watch. I can't even lie. I was definitely into it. So that was a little golf check in. So anybody who's not into golf, you now know what's going on in golf. So there you go. So sliding up next, man, let's talk real quick about Eric Bieniemy. I know we're kind of in between on football, and we're in between free agency, and there's a little bit of stuff going around. But Bieniemy does leave the Chiefs. I want to get your guys' take on, what does this mean for Washington? For what are they? The Colonels, the Commanders, the Admirals,
or Commodores, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What does this mean for them to you? What does this mean for Bieniemy? And then what does this mean for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I know we talked about this, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I know me and Brian kind of went back and forth on this, and you guys will hear Brian's opinions in a minute. I don't think Brian is wrong. I don't think anybody is wrong in this circumstance, but my personal opinion, I guess as we talk through this, I might lean one way or the other, but it's a shame, first of all, that Eric Bieniemy has to actually prove himself. I guess to call plays or whatever the case may be, because there have been other coaches in the Andy Reid tree. I guess the knock on it, he's never called plays, or how much influence has he had on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, how much influence has he had? That's a legitimate question, but the problem I have with it is that Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson, and Pat Shurmur all worked for Andy Reid at some point and got head coaching jobs. And it's pretty much known, if you work for Kyle Shanahan, you work for Sean McVay, you work for Andy Reid, you're not calling plays. They're calling the plays, and it's their offense. But I don't think that should stop somebody like Bieniemy from getting a head coaching job when there's precedent already where 3 guys were, pretty much the OC or quarterback's coach or whatever, didn't call plays and still got head coaching jobs.
Y'all told me Hackett got a year and he ain't did nothing. So go ahead.
Right, exactly. So that's number one. Number two, I know me and Brian were going back and forth, and the reason why, and I didn't know actually, Brian, that he only made $600,000 as an assistant coach. And now he's getting about $2.5 million. So I understand the money part. The problem I have is for black coaches in the NFL, the opportunities, it's almost like you have to take the right opportunity because you ain't going to get a second chance. And that was always the issue I had with Hugh Jackson. I get his point and yours that, hey, there are only 32 of them. But the problem is you went to an organization that 7 other guys didn't even want to interview for because they knew it was bad. So you're going to get fired. Yeah, you're going to get 4 years of guaranteed income, but you have no chance of making that income again in the NFL because you took that job. And so I understand that, you want to take the money, But for
Yeah.
Bieniemy, if he wanted to prove himself, in my opinion, I would not go to the organization that he went to. I just think it's a tire fire of an organization, and I'm not sure what good is going to come out of that, especially since you don't have really a quarterback to work with there. So going from Mahomes and a great organization like the Kansas City Chiefs, a well-run organization, to a dysfunctional organization like the Colonels. I wouldn't personally. I don't think I would do it. But then again, the money involved, Brian, that you talked about, 2.5 million.
Opportunity. Yeah.
But I mean, that's it. But the thing is, if it doesn't work out, then is he going to mess himself up and never get another head coaching job again? Because they might just point the finger at him like, well, yep, you couldn't do it with Washington. So we were right not to give you a job. Now, I don't personally believe that. And I don't think he should have to prove himself when so many other guys haven't. But he probably kind of pigeonholed himself in this position with that team. And I'm not sure how it's going to work out. If you ask me right now, the way that organization has been the last 10 years, 15 years, it doesn't look so good right now, but hope for the best for him. But B, what you think about it?
Yeah, and they might get sold. That's a good point. Yeah, how does this impact the Cardinals and Bieniemy?
Yeah, well, remember he's not the head coach yet, right? Ron Rivera is still the head coach, but pretty much everyone knows he's dead man walking, which I think is part of the reason why. The other thing is that he took an assistant head coach job / offensive coordinator. I think the assistant head coach job title is actually pretty important because it makes him the heir apparent to whoever gets fired. So Ron Rivera gets fired 3 or 4 games into the season, he gets his shot. One thing that we talk about all the time, Jason, and you and I are kind of on different parts of it, is that, first-time head coaches and head coaches that are coming from coordinators and black head coaches and kind of in general do not get to go and run organizations that are the best. All of those ones that you're willing to kind of say, hey, they should go here, they should go there, whatever you want to call it, Patriots, Tampa Bay, whatever the teams are, or 49ers. Those jobs are off the list. They don't go to the coaches. The last time one of them went that way was Mike Singletary in San Francisco, and how did that all work out? They just don't get those opportunities, and so they have to kind of take these opportunities. It sucks. It's wrong. It shouldn't be that way. But those coaches seem to understand that, recognize that that's a problem that they're going to have to deal with, and are trying to kind of maneuver that landscape. So, yeah, the Commanders is not where anybody would want to start their career, but neither is Houston, and neither is Denver right now. Denver maybe in the past. There's just a whole lot of these organizations. It's not surprising that ones that have a lot of talent, I'll use Minnesota, that had a lot of offensive talent. They go and take Kevin O'Connell, who comes from the Rams right off of the Super Bowl, who is working with McVay, and they're all term geniuses. Like that is just kind of the difference between what Bieniemy's going to get and what these other guys are going to get. The other thing is that Bieniemy has a reputation. He has a reputation for being cantankerous. He has a reputation for being somebody who used to argue on the sidelines with Adrian Peterson, being somebody who has recently argued on the sidelines with Patrick Mahomes. At one point in time, there was Andy Reid literally pulling Patrick Mahomes away from from Bieniemy on the sidelines. That both Mahomes and Reid have said everything's wonderful. They love him. They hope he gets an opportunity to run a whole show. But that reputation seems to be not helping him. And it's tough when you've got a reputation, you're a black male quarterback and on a team led by a legend on the offensive side, where you're not necessarily making all the play calls. It's an uphill battle. So I get the move. I absolutely he would have loved to do better, but I just don't think that chance was going to go there. And he had to get out of Andy Reid's shadow. He had to be doing the play calling. I think the assistant head coach role and likely head coaching opportunity works out. And there's not all the organizations that needed a head coach. If you took them and added the Commanders in there, the Commanders are still not the worst one. I still think Denver is, but Houston would probably it would be in the mix. I think Houston's still probably the best. I think Commanders might be second or third of all these ones that are out there. So of the opportunities that were available this year, assistant head coach / offensive coordinator may not have been that far off of some of the other head coach opportunities that were out there. And I wish him luck.
Now, Brian, I understand what you're saying. So let me clarify something real quick. I know the good jobs, of course, they're going to be taken. The bad jobs are usually available. But let me clarify something. Some jobs, they might seem bad, but they might have potential. I think Houston actually has some potential. I think Arizona has none. I just think that's a dead man walking job personally. And that's how I always felt about Hugh Jackson with Cleveland. That's just a dead man. Well, whoever gets that job is getting fired within a couple of years, no matter who took that job. That's why Jim Harbaugh and a lot of other guys didn't want to talk to Cleveland. Forget interviewing. Another job that was like that was the Raiders. Al Davis wanted a whole bunch of people. They ended up with Lane Kiffin because he was the only one that wanted to take the job. Remember, they had a guy named Ken Wisenhunt who was offense coordinator for Pittsburgh. He came out there right after a Super Bowl interview, but that position left the same night. Him and his wife took a red eye. He was like, I'm not working for Al Davis.
Yeah, but when Lane Kiffin got that job, they didn't interview any black coaches. It wasn't that Lane Kiffin wasn't the only one who would take that job.
Yeah,
it was
that's
the only
true.
one that was offered the opportunity, and that's the problem. And so it's not like
that's true.
Cleveland, they just don't get the shots, and that's it's wrong. And the Rooney Rule was supposed to do something different and make it better, but it really didn't, because they're always finding players on they're always convincing coaches that are on the staff that the way to get better is to interview more. You hear this recruiters speak throughout the entire world and industry. You can go on LinkedIn and read it. You just interview more and put it out there. And one of these days you'll get better at interviewing. It's not always about that. Like some people are really great at interviewing. I'm not saying Bieniemy is, but some people are really great at interviewing and just aren't given opportunities that are real.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what happened to a lot of the coaches. Again, I think Bieniemy has this extra layer of also having some stuff out there about him being difficult to work with. There's other players who have come out and said he's a genius, that he's a great to work for, that he's always pointing in the right direction. So by all means, this is not saying that the world knows that Bieniemy is a difficult dude. It's just saying that there's a couple people out there, and those names happen to be guys like Adrian Peterson and Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes even went out there and said afterwards, hey, that's my guy. I talk to him every day. I hope he, has a chance to run it. Everyone said the right things.
Yeah.
It's just in an uphill battle to begin with.
Yeah.
He's got to climb up rocks straight forward. He's going up.
You're right, but to everyone's credit, I think I mentioned this maybe 3-4 years ago. This reputation is not just like this year. It's been going on like for 3, 4, 5 years about Eric Bieniemy.
It goes, like I said, it goes back to him arguing with Adrian Peterson on the sideline.
Yeah, it's always been known. So, unfair or not, like I said, I wish he didn't have to quote unquote, prove himself. Because a lot of guys with a lot less credentials than he, or a lot less established than him, didn't have to prove themselves. But I mean, I guess that's the game.
What do you guys think this means for the Chiefs, if anything?
Nothing.
Another guy gone.
Yeah, I think that's part of. But I think that's part of the problem for Bieniemy and all these other guys, right? Nothing.
Yeah.
The guy who was calling all the plays is still there. They're going to run the same offense. They're not going to change. I don't care who they bring in there to replace him. They're running Andy Reid's playbook. I don't think this will slow them down. How many times have they lost their offensive coordinator in the last? I think this is the third time. But
I thought Bieniemy's been there for a little while though.
Yeah, I mentioned Matt Nagy and some other people, Shermer and the other guy I'm mentioning. I mean, it's like the 49ers losing defense coordinators. I mean, this is our third one. And just bring the next guy on. I don't even know who it is. Oh yeah, it's the guy.
I thought Bieniemy's been there during this whole Super Bowl run though. Like who was there? They were going to the edge.
He's been there for quite some time, but not always in an offensive coordinator role.
Okay, because they'd been to even when they had Alex Smith, they were still winning our division and still rolling. So
but he wasn't there then.
He
wasn't there then.
Got it. Okay, so same for the Chiefs. We see what happens with the Commanders and how that looks. The Commanders were an 8-8 team last year though, so I mean there's a little bit of something on there.
Well, they have some talent.
They have
more talent on
running backs.
Yeah, they have more talent on defensive than they do on offense. But the problem is, I don't think Rivera is a good coach, and they can use more offensive talent like a line and a quarterback, which is very, very important. So I'm not sure how Bieniemy is going to work that. I don't know. I guess we'll see next year. But I don't know. It's tough. That'll be tough.
So he
Yeah.
got there in 2013 as the running backs coach. I just looked it up.
Okay.
And then Nagy was the offensive coordinator. He went on to go to coach the Bears, and that's what he
Poorly.
got promoted.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, Glenn, if you remember Eric Bieniemy, he played for Colorado in college. I think they played against Notre Dame in the national
running
championship
back.
game, and they lost. That's when Rocket Ismail and them was on that team. That's when
Oh, wow.
when Notre Dame was really a national championship program. Now, because they can let anybody in the school, but now, those days are gone. So you need actual
Wow.
grades and stuff now.
Okay. Now, well, okay.
Yeah.
Colorado. Okay. Word.
And I
All right.
love this time with Minnesota. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the results are outstanding, but it's
going crazy.
hard when you have an once in a lifetime talent like Adrian Peterson to be able to discern whether it was the running backs coach that made Adrian Peterson, or Adrian Peterson was Adrian Peterson,
Yeah.
Who
and
was great
everyone
in
else
high
is along for
school
the
and
ride.
college.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
He was
Yeah,
great
he
in high
was-
school and college. So
He was a
yeah.
man as a young. He was a
Right.
man the whole time.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens, man. That's kind of just a little bit of football in between everything. So kind of shifting, man, to the NBA All-Star Weekend, man. I none of us watched it, so I kind of wanted to bring it up just for that reason. Like, none of us had any interest. What does that mean to you? What is
Man,
like? I just had other stuff going. I didn't turn it on. I never cared to look. I didn't
Hey,
even
hey,
look at highlights. I
Brian.
didn't do nothing.
Brian, go ahead. I'm surprised you didn't watch a drop of it.
I didn't watch a drop of it. I mean, I had a lot going on this weekend, but it was not on my list of priorities. I played golf on Saturday while there were some activities going on and little activities, and I made sure to watch the golf tournament on my phone while playing golf and not really worried about what was going on with the All-Star game. There's a lot of different reasons for that. I think that the new format is more entertaining, but I can't really enjoy a basketball game that just gets rid of half of it. I can't. It's the same reason with the NFL All-Star game. When they stopped playing defense. There it started to go to a point where it's like, I'd just rather not watch it. Like I said, I used to want to bet it because of the overs. But and the NBA game's the same way, right? 184 to 175.
That's crazy.
That's not exactly a showdown. It's the game when this is when I'm going to sound old. When I grew up, these guys wanted the money, but also wanted to prove themselves through the other guys that they could kick their butt. And Michael and Kobe, by example, would go out there and try to kick each other's butt. Magic and Bird, all
Isaiah.
of these things. Isaiah. These were tough basketball games. You had all-star games that didn't break 100 points on either side. And that wasn't because these aren't the greatest offensive talents in the world. It was because they wanted to prove that they could win a basketball game with these guys. That's not the same, right? It's an offensive showdown. All these guys don't want to play in the dunk contest, but they want to have dunk contests in the middle of the games where they sit there and do 5 or 6 back and forth. Where they clear out and let somebody go and do a dunk, and then they go down there and next one does it. Or Lillard, who shot 23s in an all-star game. That's not. I'm not the audience. Is I guess the best thing. Maybe there's a younger generation finds that interesting, but watching uncompetitive sports has never been something that I'm going to make case for. So when it, with everything else that was going on, it was. If it wasn't for the Bleacher Report alerts and ESPN alerts,
right,
I wouldn't have known who won, or that LeBron was out for the second half with an injury to his hand. I was more concerned about whether or not that meant he was going to be out for the last 23 games for the Lakers season than I was about what it meant to an All-Star game in which he drafted a bunch of his buddies. And the most important thing that comes out of All-Star Weekend these days is recruiting. Because it's not a coincidence that when the buyout market got completely cleared up and all on All-Star Weekend. And then this year, especially, I don't like Utah. I don't like the Jazz. I don't like Karl Malone. And that really wasn't a huge factor because I was already decided not to. But if I had any factors that would go on top of it, it would be that it was Utah.
Yeah, they gave you just
Yeah.
enough. What'd you think, Coop?
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't know it was going on. The only reason I knew it was going on because I got, like Brian said, a Bleacher Report alert and some text messages about McClung in the dunk contest on Saturday. That's the only reason I knew it was All-Star weekend. But I still had no interest in watching the All-Star game. This is the first time ever since I've been alive that I haven't watched not anything of the All-Star game. Like I've missed the All-Star game, maybe most of it, and probably watched a little bit of fourth quarter. I didn't watch any event,
Yeah.
no activity. I didn't watch nothing. I just wasn't interested. And like Brian, I just, people setting all these all-star game records for points. I mean, I guess I should be impressed, but I'm not because nobody is guarding each other, especially in the first quarter of these games. And to Brian's point, when we grew up, people started playing defense as soon as the ball was tipped in the all-star game. Like, for instance, the 1991 all-star game, the final score after the first quarter was 23-22. This
It's a
all-star
real game.
game, yeah, that's the first quarter. This All-Star game, first quarter is 46-46. I don't even have to watch it, but I pretty much know what happened. Wide open threes, layups, and nobody guarding anybody. Just everybody just doing their thing, which is cool for some fans. But for me, I actually want to see some resistance at the basket. I want to see somebody try to block a shot or give a foul or just do something. And just having wide open layups and doing layup lines and dunks. I mean, that just doesn't, really get me or impress me. I have no idea who won any of the skills competitions. I was just told by someone that Dame won the
Yep.
3-point contest, and
They
that
won a
Julius
three.
and that Julius Randle was a late entrant and he was terrible in it or something like that. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny because I didn't watch it.
His son even had a fizz on his face.
Really, oh yeah. So yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Matt McClung, I've heard him before because I'm always been a Georgetown Hoya basketball fan. He did go to
And
Georgetown.
he played for the
He was on the
Lakers.
Lakers, yeah.
Oh really? Oh, I didn't know that part. Yeah, I just know he wasn't that good at playing basketball, but he can jump pretty high. So and he
He's
ended up leaving
also not on the
Georgetown.
Lakers anymore.
Oh, but yeah. So he can't really play basketball. I don't think it would help. But other than that, yeah, I have no opinion about the All-Star game. They told me Tatum had 55. Doesn't surprise
Yep.
me. He's a good offensive player. I'm sure he got a lot of wide open shots and hit his jumpers or whatever. But being that he had 55, I'm not going to put him above, whoever, Wilt, Kobe or whatever. I mean, he had a great game. Good for him. But anytime when we talk about players, you never hear me say those guy had 2 or 3 All-Star MVPs. You never hear me say nothing like that because All-Star game means absolutely nothing to me. So, but yeah, no opinion. Didn't watch nothing. I'm like Brian. I did other things. Glenn, what about you? Did you watch it?
No, I was doing the same. I played golf Saturday, like Brian said. I was out, visiting with some homies on Sunday. Didn't even look. Didn't
Yeah.
even care about it. Um, I
I was
watched some of
just
the past
looking
ones,
up
but
whether or not there was was that Rising Stars game. At least
yeah,
that's how much I didn't know. I didn't even know if they still had that.
I think they
Oh,
had,
they still got it?
yeah, they
They
had
still
Pau
got it.
Gasol
Okay. Oh,
coaching
okay.
or something. Like I saw parts of it because like it was on I think Friday or one of them days. I saw
Mm,
maybe 10 minutes of it, but it just wasn't. I didn't
yeah.
check for highlights. I didn't like nothing even came to my phone really. That's the cold part. Like I wasn't watching it at the time of, so I didn't even see nothing. And I don't feel like I missed anything. I'll be honest.
Brian, I gotta tell you, the All-Star game, it went under. It was over under was 362, I believe, and it went under.
Dang,
It was 359. So, but yeah, I don't watch.
362.
I used to the Pro Bowl, NFL Pro Bowl. I never watched that thing. Never. I started watching the Pro Bowl about 20 years ago. I think now it's a flag football game. You can't pay me to
Yeah,
watch the Pro Bowl. You just can't. I'd rather watch the
Yeah.
XFL with guys like
See, I
Paxton Lynch and
used
all
to
these other
watch it.
out
bums.
of tackling. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to watch it. Every once in a while, they'd play some football, and it was actually entertaining. But yeah, not lately.
Yeah. I
damn.
think I was in the gym and the XFL was on, and then I saw these quarterbacks. I saw Paxton Lynch, and I was like, "Oh, damn, Paxton Lynch is starting quarterback in the new XFL." And I saw
AJ
some
McCarron.
AJ McCarron, yeah, from
I saw him throwing
Alabama.
some
I saw some
passes.
other
Yeah,
guys too. I was like, "Oh, Brett Hundley." I was like, "Oh, they going back." So, but yeah, it's football though.
forgot about them boys.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Yeah, but to that point, Jason Tatum he's MVP for the game. He had 55 points. Um, Donovan Mitchell had 40. Dame had 26. 3-point winner was Dame Lillard. Mac McClung won the dunk contest. And then what was for the They have the other skill challenge, but I don't think people.
Oh, so they changed
Care
the
about us.
Rising Stars thing. It used to be rookies versus sophomores.
Yeah.
Then it
They
used to
changed it.
be international
Yep.
versus United States.
Yep.
And now they basically had 4 teams that played in a semifinal round, first team to 40. Joachim Noah, was Darren Williams, Pau Gasol, and I don't know who Team Jason's coach was. But that's how they did it now. And then they went to a final game.
Yeah. A lot of excitement for us. I don't know. Could the NBA do anything to get you back watching it, or you just don't care about it?
No. That's like
They can. I mean, the players need to decide that they want to play basketball. And look, it's not money, right? I mean, it's all about them deciding that they want to be competitive. But no, half the reason why I watched any of the festivities before was I wanted to know who LeBron was recruiting since he's gotten here. He does all of his recruiting that week over that weekend.
Yeah.
It is so blatantly obvious that that he's over there like, oh yeah, I want to see blah blah blah. But no, I don't know that there is something that can be done. I don't know that it'll ever happen.
Yeah,
We
to
need to make
Brian.
the game competitive.
Yeah, to Brian's point, I think, Glenn, the reason why it's not competitive or the why it's like this right now, because players make so much money. Back then it was a small, finite piece of the pie. Everybody wasn't making $10-20 million a year. It was very, very small piece. So people want to prove themselves, trying to get, a deal, shoe deals
Yeah.
and commercials and stuff like that to make that money. Now everybody's making so much money, man. It's like, why? Why try? Why care? So I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to happen. Those days are over where they play, defense for 4 quarters. But I don't think there's anything they can do or the NFL can do, because NFL players, I kind of understand. You play this long season, you ain't trying to be hitting and tackling and all this type
Yeah.
of stuff. You're trying to chill, which I get, but
Yeah.
I can't watch it. Nope. Not at all.
So I know I would keep on talking about this. But I'm really intrigued by this whole this Rising Stars thing. So what they did is they created 3 NBA teams where the guys got to draft. So Powell, Darren Williams, and Joachim Noah got to draft their teams, and then Team Jason, which was Jason Terry's team now, who is the current Utah Jazz coach, got to take players from the G League to go up against the NBA. So it's no surprise that he got blown out in the first round. But Mac McClung was on that, and then the Lakers' own Scottie Pippen Jr. was also on that team. And then the Ignite, City, Sagoko, and Scoot Henderson. Ignite is kind of like the barnstorming team. So there were 4 players from Ignite alone, and then 3 other guys. But that is actually a little bit would have been interesting if it would have been like Wembanyama. That would have been cool. But yeah, that sounds like a more interesting game than the actual All-Star game.
Yeah. Okay. Word up. Well, you mentioned LeBron and Lakers recruiting, man. What are you guys thinking as we go into the end of the season?
What do you think, Big?
I think they're a game and a half out of the play-ins. Do I think they can do it? Yeah. I think if they can stay healthy, I mean, obviously that's a big deal. LeBron wasn't even able to finish a full All-Star game. But making up a game and a half and getting into the play-in is absolutely possible. This team is, as constituted currently, a team that can win enough games to get there. And nobody would want to play them in a real series.
Yeah.
In a play-in game where it's one game,
Yeah.
But if you had to play them for 5 or 7 games, you wouldn't want to play this team. I'm not saying they're going to scare anyone. And I still at the beginning of the season, I said I don't think they're going to sniff 500. I still don't think they're going to sniff 500. And I think they might actually be able to make the playoffs without doing that, right? I mean, the play-in teams right now are 28 and 29, 29 and 29, 31 and 30, and 30 and 29. So they're all within literally one game in either direction. So it is very possible to be, a game under 500 and still make the playoffs or the play-in. And I think that might be the Lakers' future. The advantage that they have is at the trade deadline, some of these teams tanked their teams, right? So the Jazz, the Trailblazers, these are teams that really weren't really trying to do it. But some of the ones that are already in the playoffs, were basically giving up on the season. So there are some teams that should go down that should allow the Lakers to go up. We'll see what happens. Jason, what do you think?
I think the Lakers will make the playoffs. Not sure how much noise it will make.
Play-in, not
yeah,
playoffs.
I think they will make the play-in. Yes. I do think they will actually make the real playoffs. They'll win their play-in game. I mean, they have to. But
Probably have to
I'm
win
with you.
2 of them.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. Though I think they're going to be a tough out. There are some people saying if the Lakers get in the playoffs, watch out. They can definitely be a contender. I'm not there yet. I will have to see after 20 games. I don't think I'll still be there yet. But I think they'll make the playoffs. But our expectations as Laker fans is a little bit higher than just making the playoffs. So, we're not, one of these other. We're not Utah or something like that. Or Sacramento. We're not one of these other organizations that's happy to make the playoffs. We need to win. And the fact that we're not really a championship level team. I mean, my interest is just lukewarm. To be perfectly honest with you. But I expect us to make the playoffs.
I find it interesting that they aren't a bigger sign cut players kind of target. But I have not heard anything about them being in the buyout market.
Well, yeah, the only people I know is Kevin Love and Westbrook. I know Westbrook is going to Clippers, and then Kevin Love is in Miami. But
I was surprised that Kevin Love wasn't someone that LeBron would be talking to, saying nobody's or. But there's other players that are in the buyout market, but we're not even a whisper of it.
Yeah.
Chicago's been a buyer, whether they get anything or not. They got Pat Beverly, by the way.
They did. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Clippers, Miami's been talked about. What else? I think I saw Portland being talked about. There's teams I've seen. Minnesota I've seen talked about. But the Lakers have not been part of the rumor mill for the buyout market.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find that interesting. Because what's his name? Davin. What's his name? The new guy on the team.
Newsom, the governor. Oh, my fault.
No, Devon. He's not going. Davin Reed from Miami. I don't know that he's going to make a big difference on this team. I think everybody else is probably there, but a good solid player. But Davin Reed, I don't get how he's there. And Scottie Pippen Jr. and Cole Swider are never going to come up from the G League at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah.
DB, any thoughts?
Man, I got no idea. Let me just see what they do for the rest of the season. I think, I don't know who's at the bottom of the standings. Like I need to look to see if they can jump somebody because there's not a whole lot of games separating all the teams potentially. But can you make a run? We're just gonna see. I mean, you get in the playoffs, you always have a chance because you're in it. But I don't know that.
Well, I know they're a game and a half right now behind the Jazz and Trailblazers. They're 2 games behind the Thunder, and they're 2.5 games behind the Warriors. And Warriors are in the 9th spot right now.
Okay. Yeah, and none of those teams are playing all that great right now. So.
And 3 games behind the Timberwolves and Pelicans, who are in the 7th and 8th spot. So they can make up some ground, just whether they
depending on who people play and if they, do they want to kind of how they push going forward. And this will tell us if they're a team or not. You know what I mean? Like what we have to look forward to if they do make the playoffs based on these next few weeks and months. But I don't know. Well, I'll probably start paying more attention though.
Real quick, speaking of the NBA, why is Greg Popovich still coaching? I mean, his teams have been trash at least the last 2-3 years.
Because he loves doing it, and he lost his wife the year before.
He lost his wife.
Retired.
Okay.
He's a legendary coach too. I don't know that they have the players to do anything now.
But they haven't. Well, go ahead, Brian.
It was widely speculated he was about to retire, and then what part would be with his wife, and then his wife passed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that it
probably has something to do with
what he wants to be part of.
Yeah, why would I be home? Damn.
Yeah. Because I mean,
and you're never ever gonna tell him anything other than you want to come coach.
Yeah. Straight up.
Yeah, 14 and 45, and I think they were terrible last year and just the year before. Ever since no Duncan, no rings. What I've always said about it.
He got a few of them things previously though. Okay. Cool, man. Well, give me what's hella hogwash. I got one. You guys are catching it straight today, Coop. But go ahead. I was just looking at something. Give me
Okay. I'm gonna tell you this is my hogwash. So a lot of I've heard on sports radio a lot of people defending Justin Fields, how he doesn't have people, they need to do some and lace him up with some talent, and that's a bunch of hogwash. And I'm gonna tell you why. Number one, the guy doesn't really throw the ball; he runs. He ran for over 1,100 yards for a quarterback, which is insane. I didn't even know that. 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. He only threw for 2,242 yards last year. He had more than capable receivers of Mooney and Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool was catching passes in Pittsburgh. He didn't catch any in Chicago because the quarterback had nothing to do with it. There weren't any talent. And what I told someone is a Bears fan that Mooney and Chase Claypool would start for the New York Giants. They would be the two best receivers in the New York Giants who actually made the playoffs. Also, Cole Kmet, who plays tight end for the Bears, he would start for the Giants as well. So I don't want to hear there's no talent. And then David Montgomery at running back and Khalil Herbert are more than capable at running back. So there's talent on the Chicago Bears. They just don't have a quarterback, which will lead us into a discussion maybe on a future podcast. Should the Bears keep Justin Fields, or should they get rid of him and start over at quarterback? That's the conversation for a later day. But Fields not having talent on the team, that's a bunch of hogwash. Okay. No, sorry.
I've never heard anyone say that though.
Really?
But,
I have. Yeah.
Anyways, mine is, so last week the NBA came out, Adam Silver came out and said that they do penalize referees for making bad decisions. Oh. And this is the part is hella hogwash. Mm-hmm. He said that their assignments are impacted by how well their calls go. So the question is,
oh, yikes,
who gets the shit ones?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't see that anywhere. Like, but everyone gets the same amount of assignments. That part is part of their collective bargaining deal. Oh, so if they're changing their assignments based on how well their calls are, the natural assumption question is, who gets the bad ones? Is it by record? Do you not, who gets the crap? Or is it by the media markets? Right. The Lakers always get better ones because they're in that market in Boston and Milwaukee and Utah get the crap ones. Is it by star power?
Yikes.
Because once you think about that, there's no way to avoid, well, if you know who's good and who's bad, and you're making the assignments based with that information in mind, who are you assigning the crap ones?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you some folks in Vegas have figured this out. And they are well aware of who these crap ones are.
Wow.
That's a very good point, Brian. They actually, there's a website. There's actually referee stats. I think I sent you guys one. There's this one referee, who's like 31-2.
Their stats are more on how many calls they make, how many fouls they call, how many times, how many free throws. It's more numbers based, as opposed to the quality of their calls or the quality of their play.
But they have certain teams, like whenever they referee these teams, like that one guy, he's 31-2 when he referees Boston. So they always win when this certain guy refs. So they have tendencies. It's like they have. So
and the players know those things too.
Right. But some guys call more fouls than others and everything. Yeah. So Yeah, that's true.
But it's definitely hella hogwash for the NBA to come out and say, we do create or we impact, they do have repercussions, and those repercussions are the quality of their assignments. I'm like, that's
you're clowning teams, you're clowning markets. If you're one of these,
another thing I have to say then, though, a lot of those guys that referee in the regular season, they don't referee playoff games. I can tell you that. They don't. Those rookies and like other investors, they don't get playoff games.
But that's fine.
You can impact your ability to get to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, true. Oh yeah, I agree.
If let's say right now we have 23 games left in the Lakers, and let's say because the Lakers are towards the bottom of the West right now, even though they're only 1.5 games out of a playoff spot, play-in spot, they're going to get the worst assignments. Now, I doubt the Lakers and LeBron and AD are ever going to be the ones that get the crap assignments, but let's apply the theory that they're doing it based on record for a moment. That means it is at least a multiple more difficult for the Lakers or any team that is out of the playoffs to get into the playoffs because they are getting subpar refereeing.
Just because you get bad reps doesn't mean that you're not going to get any calls. They might just call the calls for you. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I get you though.
The point is that you want to be able, if you're a professional athlete You want to be able to know what a foul call is. You want to know that
Yeah.
people are going to watch it. You want to know that they're not looking at the girls in the third row. You want to know that, that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I hear what you're saying.
the NBA was messed up
Yeah,
for acknowledging it in that way, and therefore making sure that we all understand just how bad things can be.
that's not good. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
All right.
so when you watch an Orlando and Washington game, you better believe ain't gonna be no top side.
I say ref ain't watching it, neither are we. No, so all right. So mine, bro, hella hogwash, right? I'm just giving you guys, I'm going back some years to some NFL records, right? This is a specific football team. I'm gonna start back. Let's go back to a few years before. Let's go to 2008. All right. They were 7-9, 8-8, 6-10, and then 13-3, 11-4, 12-4, conference finals, lost 2 conference finals and a Super Bowl, and then 8-8, 5-11, 2-14, 6-10, 4-12, and then 13-3, and then 6-10, and then 10-7, and then 13-4. In that time period, 1, 2, 3, 4 conference finals lost and 2 Super Bowls lost. However, my family, who I love, all you Niner fans, are on the Cowboys and the Raiders and everybody, as if y'all have won every Super Bowl since we've been alive. Fam, let's get it together. Y'all could chill out with all this super high and mighty talk every time y'all get a win and lose the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. All love, but I've been getting hit.
I'm thinking Glenn has heard from some Bay Area friends.
I'm just saying we're looking at straight numbers, man. Like, people be on my back. My team gets a new stadium. It's the toilet bowl. They built it like that, whoop-de-whoop. And then y'all are, I think y'all won 4, 5, 6, 7 Super Bowls in that time. Y'all on the Cowboys, y'all only won since the 90s. I mean, I didn't have no facial here last time y'all won. So let's just chill out is all I'm saying, with all this big, high and mighty. Every time we get a all-star coach and some great players, it's great. Ain't one jack. So let's just chill out.
Yeah.
And see what happens next year. That's all I'm saying.
That's why I watched the last 2 Super Bowls. Niners was in by myself because I knew a loss could be coming. Yeah. So,
I mean, you know that you shoot yours towards the Raider fans that are coming at you. I'll give you that. But I mean, you posted a few little memes on there too.
I have, but not
y'all
towards
have just
you.
been out here killing.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm looking at the records. It ain't all that dang great. So let's relax, as if y'all were the New England Patriots of recent. When y'all
I'm surprised I'm surprised Dallas Cowboy fans talk. This is why. Number one, they never even been to a Cowboy game in the state of Texas. That's number one. I don't know how the hell you a fan of a team.
I mean, I feel you.
And you and be at a damn game. I don't
You're
get
doing
that
what
part.
I said right now, talking about Cowboy fans. Y'all don't win the same amount of games, but I get the rivalry. But it ain't no rivalry because y'all ain't really. Neither y'all been that much of a factor like that. Y'all ain't actually won nothing.
No, the fact that Cowboy fans are talking. I mean, they ain't been a factor for a couple decades now. I'm just saying. They ain't been in the running.
Hey.
Just be in the running. Now they not even in the running.
I'm going to just say, Niner fans live in the Bay. I live in the Bay. I love the Bay. We talk a lot. So it's not like y'all just be sitting there quiet. No, my God, they're picking on us. Y'all be big balling and shot calling when y'all winning, but a lot of these ain't no damn winning seasons. That's all I'm saying.
Man. Yeah, I get you. I'm with you.
Not towards you, Coop. I'm just saying, chill.
We don't go with each other. Yeah, no doubt.
We were talking. I was talking to the homie Dennis about this, and I was kind of looking like, oh, wait a minute, these, they had some good seasons, but these weren't all amazing. So
see, Brian doesn't have to worry about this because he's a Minnesota fan living in California, so he ain't got to worry about no trash talking.
Two of my closest friends are Green Bay fans. Another one, someone I know is a Chicago Bears fan.
Yeah, that's true, but only one of them lives in California. Yeah. So
all I was saying is, hey, I'm rocking, man. I love it. Rep your team, cool, but y'all could chill out with all the slander of everybody else when it ain't. The record ain't all that great. Y'all hopeful every year, just like us. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Green Bay fans, shouts out to Dred and Derek.
Yeah. Love to everybody. Appreciate all y'all who watch. So yeah, that's what I had. This hella hogwash, man. Chill out. That's cool. That's like me talking about, oh, we won this season in 16, bro. Just cool out. That's all. My minute to win it again, just for everybody who listens. Thank you for sticking with us. It's 5 years in, so we appreciate you, Coop and Brian. I love doing the show with y'all, man. So yeah, that's all I got.
Man, to win it. Can't wait to be with y'all doing March Madness. Hopefully, we be able to do a live podcast with shot glasses. I don't know how long it should last for as we're shooting drinks, but I hope we get a chance to do that and hope you guys tune in.
Yes, sir. I'm in.
So mine is I feel so amazingly fortunate that I get to talk about this as opposed to experience it. But I don't know if anyone who watched this, there was a huge earthquake in Turkey a while back, and again yesterday. We had
yikes.
a second
Damn.
major earthquake, a 6.5 earthquake,
Yikes.
after losing something like 30,000 people in the other earthquake. So they are definitely going through the trials, and my heart goes out to them. Meanwhile, we keep on having mass shootings. We got a war in Ukraine that Biden went and visited, and all that. Like, things are not all rosy. So it's very, very fortunate for us to be able to talk about sports and complain about a lack of competitive nature in the All-Star game, while some other really, really serious stuff.
Real talk.
Mm-hmm.
Real talk.
This is these are first class problems, caviar issues.
Yeah. Bring it home, man. Birthday love to live too. But yeah, bring it home.
Yeah, my lovely daughter, she's next Tuesday turns 16.
Oh,
we went and celebrated her birthday. We had dinner last night, and probably do something else soon.
She'll never see this, so just tell her that we love her and we said this. But
No doubt.
Appreciate y'all for listening. Cool
Shout out
B,
to
man.
Liv.
Always a pleasure. And we'll catch y'all on the next show. Thanks everybody for checking us out. Peace.